This is a journey.
Into the science of melanin.
Too black, too strong.
This is a journey.
Into the science of melanin.
Brothers and sisters,
This is a journey.
Into the science of melanin.
This is a journey.
Into the science of melanin.
A melanin thing. And it unites with the egg and it causes two different spins to appear.
brothers and sisters,
The more melanin you have, the more psychic you are.
Too black, too strong.
brothers and sisters,
The more melanin you have, the more spiritual you are.
brothers and sisters,
The more melanin you have, the more intelligent you are.
brothers and sisters,
The more melanin you have, the more human you are.
brothers and sisters,
See, you're not supposed to know this.
The original text has been distorted.
brothers and sisters,
See, you're not supposed to know this.
brothers and sisters,
You're not supposed to understand. In other words, people,
You are the original text has been distorted. The original text has been distorted. The original text has been distorted.
there is no people as powerful as a people who know who they are. I'll say that again. There is no people as powerful as a people who know who they are. You got that?
The Sumerians were hiding information. They were encrypting information in these seals. So this is the one we were just looking at. Here's your little pineal gland, and the other one up there. Well, look at this. Now, if you've seen Stargate SG-1, the first episodes, you remember the Goa'uld, the villains in Stargate? You remember how they had these helmets that went around their head that looked like a snake? That's the helmet. That's the Anunnaki. They were human-like people, but they wore these weird helmets in order to appear like gods to the primitive Sumerians they came to. And this is how they encoded the secret of what they really looked like inside this image right here. It only works when you put a mirror image on it. But then you also see he's holding all these pineal gland staffs, and he's got this seal over his head, and more symbols here. But it gets a lot more direct as we go on, and you're going to start wondering to yourself, why in the world are all these cultures focusing on the pine cone? This is Osiris, the lord of the underworld in Egyptian mythology. This is his staff, which, as we now know, this is the raising kundalini, the serpent, but it also represents DNA. And there on the top As the Kundalini rises, what are they looking at? They're looking at the pine cone. That's the junction point where all this energy comes together. Now, King Tut has this Kundalini serpent actually going through his head. That's a symbol that they gave, that the pineal is fully activated, that your chakras have now all turned into that nescent set of spheres, and that access from the higher realms is moving directly through your head. So then there's a quote from the Bible, "The light of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light." That's Matthew 6:22. So this is showing how the pineal gland, once it's fully awakened, allows you access to the world tree, which is the repository of all spiritual wisdom and knowledge. Now, when light strikes your retina, there's a little nerve system here called the preganglion sympathetic neurons, and they move through, and the light transitions itself into your pineal gland, okay? When the light goes off, it signals electromagnetically to the pineal gland that it's time to go to sleep, which then secretes melatonin into your cerebrospinal fluid, which activates the whole brain's sleep mechanism, the whole nervous system, okay? So the pineal gland is very much associated with going to sleep. Well, that makes sense, because when you go into a mystical state of consciousness, typically you have to go into a very meditative, very zoned out, very relaxed Zen type of consciousness. So again, if therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. So when you cut off the light on the outside, the light opens up on the inside. That's the melatonin mechanism. Well, the pineal gland is activated when light goes out. Jesus also said that people who sat in darkness saw a great light, Matthew 4:16. Again, the idea that it's only when the light goes out and you can activate your pineal gland that you have the full access to this knowledge. So the pineal gland also secretes another chemical. This is more recent research called dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. It's becoming increasingly popular in the New Age circuit now that people are taking these South American potions like yopo and ayahuasca, which is the one you're probably more familiar with. The actual dictionary definition of what DMT does is that it includes profound time dilation, time travel. This is when you're accessing the time field, right? Time is three-dimensional. It's no longer linear. You can shift time. Journeys to paranormal realms. That's like those fairy circles, the gnome circles, right? And encounters with spiritual beings or other mystical transdimensional modalities. Now, what's the big secret? The interior is filled with water. How does that seem like a big secret? Who cares? Why would it matter that there's water inside the pineal gland? Well, those of you who were here yesterday know the answer. The interior of the pineal gland, the water flips in and out through time-space. So our pineal gland is actually supposed to be used for transdimensional access, but instead what's happening is that we're calcifying it by our diet, by the use of fluoride in our toothpaste, fluoride in our water, by drinking too much soda, carbonated beverages, too much refined fats, refined sugars, refined flours, white flour. This calcification is also what the Bible calls the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is on the forehead, right? Does everybody remember that from the Bible? And what was it supposed to mean? Well, that means that you don't have your spiritual access open. That's the symbolism. Symbolism is when you look at the chakras, you actually see a dark spot up here. So that's where that comes from. Now this is where it starts getting very, very strange. Okay? If you haven't already been blown away, this is where it should start to change your consciousness. The interior of the pineal gland, all along the inside, has rods and cones just like the retina on your eye. Do you think that maybe when they called it a third eye, that they knew what they were talking about?